Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Annie Larkin, the Associate Curator of Public Programs at the Amarant Museum. And thank you for joining us for our program with Duane Maktima. Also, a special thank you to our members and donors who make not only this type of programming possible, but Amarant's mission to promote the knowledge and understanding of the Native peoples of the Americas through research, education, conservation, and community engagement. On August 1st, we will welcome an Arizona humanities speaker, Dr. Laura Tohe, for the Talk from Chief to Code Talkers, 4 profiles of the Navajo Code Talkers. Registration for this program is open and available at amarant.org, as well as our Facebook page. And then on Saturday, August 15th, we will have the free online lecture, The Global Spanish Empire, Colonial and Indigenous Placemaking and Pluralism Across Time and Space, with Dr. John G. Douglas and Christine Beal. Registration is also open for this program and available on amarant.org and our Facebook page. You will also receive information on how to register in our follow-up email to all of our participants today, as well as information on how to become an Amarant member or donor. So just to let all of you know, the items that are noted for sale today are available on the Amarant Museum store website. That is www.amarant.org/store. Once you are there, you can filter the page by selecting Studio Showcase to view items. We will also have the website address on your screen, and you are of course welcome to call Amarant today to speak to our store manager, Tammy, who will happily assist you with your purchase. All right, so Duane Maktima is a master jeweler and metalsmith who is a graduate of Northern Arizona University's College of Creative Arts. Duane is an award-winning jeweler with nearly 40 years as a working artist. In addition to selling in the best galleries, his pieces are held by several museums, including Amarant's. Today, he will discuss the jewelry pieces that are currently for sale in the Amarant Museum store and part of his exhibit, Singing My Song, The Art of Duane Maktima. Singing My Song will be on exhibit until December 31st of this year. Amarant is thankful to Duane for not only sharing his time with us today, but for his contributions to Amarant as a member of our board of directors. And with that, I will hand it over to Duane.
Hello, folks. Yeah, it's an honor to be here with this new format of showcasing myself and the work I do in respect to the Amarant. A little bit of history there is that I've been artist in residence at the Amarant the last 3 winters, and that's how I've gotten to know the Amarant very, very well, the board members, staff, and it's just been an honor to be part of this amazing institution in Southern Arizona. For those of you who haven't been there, you would be remarkably impressed as to what is there. It sits out in the Dragoon Mountains in the high desert, lots of wildlife. It sits on over 2,000 acres. So I'm just plugging the Amarant because it's just an awesome place to be. I lived on the campus during the months of January through March. It's a great retreat to do, my work, the quiet solitude of, after business hours, able to do a lot of really amazing projects. And as well, the collections of the Amarant are inspiration to look at. Very unique collections, and they showcase that in the museum as well. But I've been, to correct Anne a little bit, I don't mean to boast, but it's been 49 years I've been at this jewelry process, making jewelry. I started when I was 19 years old in 1974. I was a college student at the time at the museum at Northern Arizona University. And then a year in my program, the professor left and went to the museum in Northern Arizona to develop an art institute. And he took me along with 2 other students to be part of that. They wanted a Native American beginning. And so I was 19 years old and had a studio and all accessibility to the museum archives, and with the tutelage of Dr. Jacob Brookins, I was able to develop a style that's uniquely my own. And that was what the emphasis of the program was. And since subsequently from that, it took me through many, many roads and phases in my early life as a jeweler and a young man. I graduated finally from Northern Arizona University in 1981. And but in that point, I was able to do extensive research, not only about Native American jewelry, the artisans, the jewelry of the history of, from the middle 1800s or even further back at the European contact, got to see and visit museums and did a lot of research in libraries about, just basically wanting to have that. The influence of my work has influenced worldwide. I probably have over 50 cultures of studying in my art background, educational art background. That influence has affected me immensely, 50 cultures throughout the world. And I borrow bits and pieces of either story, legacies, or styles. And stones are prolific in my work because of the nature of being Native American and what stones represents to our people, our culture. It's something I don't take for granted. It has a lot. The stones have a lot of integrity in themselves. So those are things that were passed on to me by my elders. And I guess we can now go to the history, the legacy of my family. I have some photos I want to share with you, and we'll go through that. This is basically my heritage. Duane Maktima is a Hopi name, and I want to start off on the upper left, left side, upper. These are my grandparents. This is Tony and Louise Sayo. And, if at some point I could talk about a lot of the history of these people, because these are that first generation. The couple below on the lower left are my dad's. The ones on the upper left are my mother's parents. And the two in the black and white are my father's parents, and that's Guy and Amelia Maktima. And that was another thing I need to correct. It's just my name is pronounced Maktima, Mocktyma. Basically, my grandfather, this gentleman here, Guy Maktima. This is a photograph when he was in the military. But he phonetically changed the spelling of our name in around the early 1940s because people could never pronounce the name Maktima. So he made it more or less English, phonetically easier to spell. The people up here in this upper right-hand side is these are my great-grandparents. This is my grandmother's mother and father, and this is at Old Laguna Pueblo. In New Mexico, and this is Miguel and Juana Riley. And these two people, my grandfather was Sun Clan, belonged to the Sun Clan people of Laguna Pueblo, which had a lot of important, duties having to do with sun and solstices and equinoxes and all that stuff. Unfortunately, that group has died out. That's what we're seeing today, and that's the evolution of life, I guess. My grandmother, this lady here, you can't see it. I couldn't get this to totally capture the faces on, especially her. She was a medicine woman, and this picture here is my beginning of me sitting at my bench in 1974 at the Museum of Northern Arizona. The way we follow our cultures is basically our fathers teach us the ceremonial life. So in that time frame of my life, I was more Hopi. That's funny to say, but I followed because of my dad's ceremonial life. I went to his kiva at Hopi we're from Third Mesa on my father's side at Hotvilla, Arizona, and that's where these two, my grandmother, grandfather, were from. They were that first generation. These two families here were that first generation taken away from their people around 1907 and were put in schools and it's, you know, a lot of people know about that history today. It's not a pretty history, but, you know, it was part of their life. They had to struggle to, but the unique thing about both of these grandfathers that I had, my Maktima and Tony Sayo, Levantonio Sayo, that was his real and full name, Levantonio, was the fact that they were both orphans. And that in that itself, they were survivors. And so one of the unique things about these two families that I'm from was that education for the future of their children and grandchildren was very, very important. And that still holds sound today for a lot of Native people. It's just makes a lot of things more, how would you say, easier to navigate in life today because we live in two worlds. And that's the way I like, believe it or not, we still have a culture that we depend on to sustain our spirituality. And that's very important. It reflects a lot in my work. As I talk to people, I've met people at prestigious shows like Santa Fe Indian Market, the Heard Museum Indian Art Fair in March. It's just, people are amazed to see the unique qualities of my heritage in my work. Even though I'm a contemporary jewelry designer, metalsmith, I guess I draw my inspiration from that part. So if you want to move on to the style of work that I do, I'll get into that. This is a little profile of my work. Will take a second if you want to, if you're a fast reader. But this is kind of a basic synopsis of how I call my work singing my song, due to the fact that I was very fortunate to have grown up with two grandfathers, and that's, you learn all your spiritual upbringing. It goes through your man's side of the family, and my grandfathers were still alive. They were always singing songs. You know, amazingly, my Laguna grandfather, Levantonio Sayo, they speak the Keres language of New Mexico, of the pueblos of New Mexico. There's 7 villages, major villages in New Mexico that speak the Keresan language. And so I learned that language. I learned songs from that language through my Laguna grandfather. On my Hopi side, being that I was involved with my dad's ceremonial kiva at that, when I was growing up, I used to hear my Hopi grandfather always singing songs in Hopi language. So I learned that. So as I grew up and when I lost my grandfathers, what's still in my mind as I work is I'm singing their songs. It's just something natural that we do as men of pueblos, is that when we're sitting there working, and even I have recordings of my grandparents, these grandfathers, sometimes I play them, and it just takes me real deep into the work I do, and it seems like the time is just goes by without even a hint that time, the whole day has gone by just singing and listening to the songs of our people. Okay, you go to the next slide. So this is what I've developed as a result of being a contemporary, and a lot of this influence comes from, being the jeweler / metalsmith at Northern Arizona University. When I'm a graduate of there from 1981. So the emphasis after going to more formal art education is the fact that fabrication is it's probably the premier result of what a good metalsmithing jewelry program emphasizes. And within this manner, it's research of other cultures in the world and jewelry from the jewelry aspect. And then as well, the materials, gold, silver, not tying me down to specific stones of the Americas. But this particular piece, for instance, is eudialyte from British Columbia, the purple stone, and Mabe cultured pearls, which are grown for the industry, and they're also called blister pearls. and this is a very special commission for one of my clients. She's part of this Zoom conference today. Hello, Joan McKenzie. She owns this bracelet, and was a commission piece. One of the honors that I have as being a master jeweler metalsmith is I get a lot of commission work to do very, very unique pieces for people. It started out, she owned a necklace that originally made her want a bracelet later on, and this is what the result of that was. But this is all fabricated work. Basically, in my way of technical looking at talking about a piece like this, it's a wire form. I call it wire forming, and it's very heavy, substantial gold work with a 22 karat gold bezel around the udilite and the mauve pearls. Something like this is basically something I don't do in a normal bench daily activity. These are kind of the pieces that I would do as a special project and a commission work. Okay, next slide. This is a good ensemble of what I do. I developed a style which is uniquely all my own. I'm very proud of the fact that the style that I have, being a jeweler metalsmith, is, one of the things that comes from my formal education, and was the teachers I had, the professors I had in college, were always emphasizing that jewelry is three-dimensional, and we need to take that as to the highest levels that we could to make things outstanding and unique. And so I've developed this. Is totally my development. Of course, we learn technique and process in fabricating metal in the jewelry program, but I took that initial forming technique and made it into my own. In these bracelets in particular, the one on the upper left with the black jade and the Amdamuka opal, black and zebra jasper. This is also a commission piece by another client who's part of this Zoom another Joan from Tucson, Marana, Arizona. Hello, Joan. She said she'd be on today. This is one of her pieces. And I don't have a side view of it, but there's gold, I call it gold applique, and it's all wire work. But in this piece itself, there's 8 soldering steps to get this all complete before I do the inlay work. And that was in itself, these are all challenges to make. This other one on the upper right-hand side, it has a unique turquoise from Kazakhstan, and it's called, oh God, I can't remember, something, angel something turquoise. And it's mined by the indigenous people of Kazakhstan in like -0 weather. They go in this hole, and I got to see a video on this from one of the representatives who sells this turquoise here in the United States. He's a big turquoise broker out of Albuquerque, and it's a very unique stone. And the metal is just another alloying technique that I use using gold and silver, and I have to highlight the just give it an art look, and all the work is separated with gold. And this lower centerpiece is the original inception of what I call shell form jewelry, and they're all hollow work. There's again like 6 to 8 soldering steps to complete the metal before I do the inlay work. The inlay work in respect to color is probably the most exciting thing for me to do. It's what makes the time just fly. And when I'm in there listening or singing to myself to these songs that I sing and listen to on tape recordings, I still, believe it or not, use a cassette tape recorder, because these songs I recorded through my grandfathers and family, these were all done in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, 90s. And then technology changed, and now everything's CD, or even beyond that, it's what do you call it, streaming. So you can go to the next slide now. And I know we don't have much time. This was also another special commission. Oh, I didn't get to I didn't even think of this, but this has there's a story inside underneath the bracelet. You can barely see a little bit of it. I'm going to move the cursor right over here, but inside the bracelet, I forgot to take a slide of this. This was a commission by a gentleman who was honoring his parents. They were both deceased, and but in the underside here, his father was a composer in the San Francisco Bay Area, a music composer, symphonies and whatnot. Anyway, when he proposed to his wife back in the 40s, he told me his dad wrote a song for his wife, and as a proposal, and wrote the sheet music for it. And inside the bracelet are the first 4 bars. You can barely see I don't know if that's a note or the clef symbol, but the first 4 bars of the song that he wrote are inside the bracelet. And this gentleman is a big man, so this is a big bracelet. The overall width of this is like 2 inches wide, with very high grade Kingman's spiderweb turquoise. They call this particular turquoise, water web from Kingman, Arizona. It's a natural stone. And this is gem silica, black jade, separated with gold, 14 karat gold spacers. And this is gold on the side. But a lot of work. Again, like 8 soldering steps to get this all completed. And, this is all inlaid and then ground and finished to a high luster while it's all intact. I use epoxy glues resin glue as an adhesive to put this in the piece. Next, you can go to the next slide now. This is kind of an ensemble of different styles that I do. The overlay work, which is symbolic to Hopi plate-on-plate jewelry. And when I say plate-on-plate, I mean it's 2 pieces, this one, and this one that are soldered together. The first impression is, they also call it piercing in the jewelry business, is you punch a hole in these little where the black areas are, and you insert a saw blade in there, and you stamp these lines, and these dots are stamped. And then these are drilled, and then these other big negative areas are a hole that's drilled into that, and then I insert a saw blade and cut these all out with a saw blade. And these are all my own unique designs. This is a sun face symbol, and then I make my own tips, and I use a very high quality leather strap made by a company in Taos, New Mexico. This is the original shell form shape that is what started everything. You can imagine that inlaid bracelet that I do. Basically, if you were to dissect this in half, I would cut this right in the middle and then invert it and turn it around each other. And then this edge becomes the channel where the inlay fits if I was to solder like an inlay bracelet. And this is a positive overlay look that I developed, which a lot of jewelers today use, especially out at Hopi. They're now doing this type of overlay. This is a positive overlay, I call it. Because historically with Hopi overlay was back when it was developed in the late 50s, it was a negative overlay like this. No, actually this is all positive too, but it would be, instead of the profile silver being the design, it would have been black. And so it's the reverse. What I've developed is this positive overlay, I call it. And now that seems to be something that a lot of Hopi jewelers do today. Again, this is basically a shell form piece, and when I'm able, these are fabricated. So before I'd solder the base plate under here, I'd have this cavity, these 2 cavities where the stones go, and that way I'm able to do the inlay in here with gold accents in here. The designs, a lot of are symbolic to, I guess, some of our cultural distinctions that we have about the universe. We are people of the universe. That's foremost acknowledged by the culture we're from, that, we're part of a greater mystery in life. And it's about how the universe allows us to be in this unique world we're in, with seasons and co-inhabitants of all the life we have on this earth. And that's something very unique and fortunate that we have as a Native people, that we still honor this. And the colors stand for they're symbolic to things too. The color for sun is always red. So that's why and turquoise, of course, is something that you see in Native American jewelry, but it's actually a very sacred stone to our Pueblo people. And it's the sky stone, the symbol for sky stone, turquoise or blue. And many of you know, if you follow Native American art of the Southwest, that turquoise is very special to the indigenous people of the Southwest. And to our people, the turquoise reflecting the sky stone or the sky blue is where the spirits live. And we use turquoise in offerings many times. And that's the reason why, is that they say that when we use turquoise as a path for the spirits to come down from the clouds and bless us with their rain. So that's why that's one of the things. There's a lot more into it, but I'll just generalize and give you that. Of course, animals and creatures of the earth are, I'm a member of a small lizard clan through one of the initiations I went through, so I always honor my people in that regard. And bear clan and bear, these are the medicine people of our Pueblo beliefs. The bear would probably be the how would you say, like the mentor of what healing is all about to our people. So that's in honor of that. Of course, the sun father is we base all of our religion about the rising and the settling of the sun. And everything else is reflected that in life about the sun. These are cloud symbols. In 1974, I developed this like over 30 designs from pottery symbols that were in the archives of the library of the Museum of Northern Arizona. I went in there one day to the archives and pulled all the pottery out of the collection. Well, not all of it at once, but I would go in there and pull pots off the shelf and draw the designs on a sketchbook, and then I just formatted them to be earrings and other parts of other designs for my jewelry work. So that's where these are called cloud earrings, and these are symbols basically of rain clouds, and this cross here is a symbol of lightning, basically. So that's what that represents. So you can go to the next slide if there's any. Oh, another unique, this texture is my trademark, and it's titled, I call this a rain texture, and I use a high polish. It's a hammer texture that I high polish my hammers. So when it leaves an indentation in the silverwork, it looks like glimmering rain. And that's also part of singing my song, because a lot of the songs we sing in Pueblo culture are all about rainmaking, bringing rain to the land to make the land fruitful and grow plants, and especially for farming, of which our people have a unique history and about indigenous farming, and that was our life, was for the men in the Pueblos and Hopi and Zuni and all these other Pueblos of the Southwest. We're all farming people from way, way back. And that's what that represents. And the colors, again, of course, reflecting, day and night, and then the rainbow in the middle with the opal, also just that transition of dark and night, from gray to dark. This is a turquoise, believe it or not. And I look for unusual turquoises sometimes, and this is from the Northern Lights turquoise mine. There's sometimes it would come. Basically, this is a different. It actually has a name. It's not turquoise, but they call it chalcociterite. And the reason most of the other chalcociterite I use is lighter, but this unique one has a lot of dark matrix in it, and it just looked good with this color scheme I developed. And of course, all the reds and opal in the middle, those are, that's kind of my trademark. When I found this red, I use for red now, it's a non-natural material, but it's a unique material. It's gold slag. And gold slag in the early 1900s was used actually by Tiffany Company in New York as a kind of like for costume jewelry. But what it is, it's a byproduct of the gold refining process. And I had always been looking for a unique red. And a friend of mine 22 years ago found this material because he had been using it, find it at rock shows, gem shows, and found a source for it. And that gentleman ended up selling all his collection of he named it Rosarita because gold slag was not a pretty ear candy name. So he wanted to give it something that would be more palatable for people to look at and say verbally. And that he named it Rosarita. And this gentleman that I got it from is a master jeweler as well. He's a Latino jeweler, contemporary jeweler from Albuquerque. And so he's the one that named it Rosarita. But he bought a huge collection of this rock material, material. It's not a rock, natural rock, but it looks like a rock. It looks actually like obsidian because it's a glass-like material. And natural obsidian is actually a natural volcanic glass. And so basically you work it the same way. It takes a lot of practice to get a luster on it. And, but it's been my trademark now using this for 22 years. People recognize this material, and when they see it, it's automatically they think of me and my work. So these are some of the unique things that go into my work, is developing style and technique and materials that make the work I do what it is. Okay, I don't know if there's any more slides left, but oh, yeah, there is a couple left. This was a commission done this in March, February, March, by another really great patron south of Albuquerque. He's also, I also have another hobby, being my name Maktima is a Hopi name, and it means hunting. And so I've always been a hunter. I've always been a fisherman, love of outdoor life. That's just part of being a man, I guess. And the heritage I'm from, we don't taking these type of things for granted. Another thing I'm a part of is the hunting group at Laguna Pueblo. I sing the songs of the hunting chants they sing. And this piece was done by a client of my son, who's a master fly fisherman, my son, and he commissioned me to do this piece. He has several pieces from me, but this one came in a unique way. He said he had always wanted a major buckle. He calls it a major buckle. And so, but he was already warning me like a year ago, saying, Duane, I'm going to have you do this. I want you to do a buckle project for you, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And then lo and behold, this was a mural in his house when he built his home in south of Albuquerque. He has a traditional adobe stucco type Southwest house. And he had a friend who was a painter, did this huge mural. And it's this, I don't know if you can see in the center around the turtle, but it's the water clan people. And it's the turtle, the turquoise is symbolic to water, the rainbow colors, the yellow, blues, reds, and black's always involved in that because of the how would you say, the sun taking a rest and going at night. And then the petroglyphs, the sandstone petroglyphs you see all around the Southwest, I incorporate that into the background of the piece. And that's the water serpent in the center. That's his head, and then it surrounds this stone, like honoring it, and this stonework that I do here. And this is the turtle. It's a stylized, but this came inspired by a mural that he had in his living room. And he said, Duane, he called me one day. He says, oh God, I have to, that buckle project I was telling you about, I finally figured out what I'm going to do. So he sent me a picture of this mural. Of course, it was a little bit more elaborate, so I had to reformat that image and into something that would be comparable for a buckle design. It's a big buckle, and but he's a real outdoor man. He wears a lot of jeans, and he likes big, fancy belts, and has wide belts. So this goes on to a 2-inch wide belt. But I make my buckle backings to where you can wear it all the way down to a 1 1/4 inch belt buckle. So that's what this piece is about. This is Blue Moon turquoise. Oh, by the way, this is a very unique stone that I'm using again. In looking at turquoises, I always try to find something unique. This comes out of the Audison family mines in Nevada, and they're prolifically known for the Royston turquoise mine. But this is a neighboring claim they have on their ranch, and they named this one Blue Moon. It's a very substantial, very hard turquoise, and but it has this unique blue-green look. And I just thought, and when I put this in the piece, and I never know what the client's going to say, but he loved it. And this is Kingman turquoise here, and this is also Kingman. And lapis yellow Rosarita, this is the red Rosarita, and separated with gold spacers. I think I have one more slide left, so we can go on to that one. Oh, there's two more. This one was a commission piece for the past executive director of the Ameren, Christine Schutzer. And this was a parting gift for her years of being the director for the museum, and commissioned to me from the board of the Ameren before I was a board member. And this was last year. They gave this in honor of all her great work. And this is, of course, the 5-star, it's actually a basket design. I think it's Tanahatum, or one of the tribes at Southern Arizona, but that's the influence of this piece. And of course, it's a lot more intricate. The design, the Ameren logo, there's like 5 more of these little tiny outlines here around. But of course, I wanted to put a piece of turquoise. She already has a piece that I made for her, a pendant, and I just figured that it would be nice to complement her pendant with a pair of earrings with the same material. And so also, again, just making the piece 3-dimensional and very unique is how this came about. So you can go to the next slide. And this is another commission piece by that other friend from Southern Arizona, Joan. Hello, Joan. Your piece made it to the World Wide Web. This was a piece. She's just been an awesome patron, allowing me to do just like, I love it when people say, you have creative license, do what you want. And again, you can't see the full dimensionality of this piece, but it's a 3-dimensional piece. You can see an outline here. This is a shell form buckle, and so it's hollow underneath these points. That's how the inlay sits in here. It's inside this channel that's created from this box, like a box type of foundation. And then these are bezels here that are on the sides. And then she saw the other buckle that I did for that other customer, the one I showed previously. And she said, oh God, Duane, I love Albanus. That's the name. That's a Tewa name for the water serpent. All Pueblos have this in our mythology stories. It's about how the water came to be in this land all over the world. Was because of this huge water serpent that controls all the water systems in the world. And of course, he also has the power to make rain and lightning and thunder. So she said, this is also called a plumed water serpent. He has these feathers or a plume. He wears a headdress, and that's what this represents. Anyway, this is symbolically, again, I had this unique idea. It was already sitting on my bench, and Joan came to visit me at the Ameren, and had told me that at some point she would like a buckle with the colors of that other bracelet she already owns, and would like to complement it with a buckle. So I showed her the foundation that was just the basic, didn't have the gold or these little accents around it yet. I hadn't worked on it. And she said, that's it. And then she didn't know it was going to be a different piece. But this is what's great about being creative, having creative license, is that things evolve and change. And so what she did later, when she saw the other buckle and quoted how she loved Vanu, was that she said, incorporate that into my new buckle. And so that's how this came to be. Of course, I had to to draw it, to format. And I always draw things and then I send a rendering to the customer for their approval. And it just makes everything go really well in making the final pieces. But these are just several selections. I think this is my last image. And then we go to a Q&A from the audience. So these are just basically examples. I've done thousands of pieces over my 49-year career of commission work. I didn't put any images, but I also do major metalsmithing projects. I've done chalices for churches and monasteries and big projects. I think the biggest project I ever did was a 127-ounce punch bowl, and it's a lot of work. And but jewelry has been my staple in making a living, so that's where I stand. So if you have any questions, let us know. I guess we're about ready. This is a little, the museum shop has my work for sale. There's an exhibit going on now at the museum at the Ameren of my work, a retrospective show from pieces from 1974 to the present. We have, I think, over 60 pieces, close to 60 pieces in that exhibit. Unfortunately, the exhibit opened at the time the crisis of COVID hit us in the Southwest, and so the museum closed, and we haven't been able to. People can go, I guess who happen to be there for business wise get to see it, but other than that, and I left a selection of pieces, and that's what this is showcasing here. Are pieces from the that are for sale through the gift shop, and they have a pretty good collection of pieces for sale in the gift shop. I think there's a few more other things besides what's here on this that we're showcasing, but this is the pieces I left that are in the exhibit area at the museum, and they kind of explain what they are. A plain high polished sterling silver bracelet. This is actually about 3/4 inches in width, and this is part of the shell form design that I developed when I was a college student at Northern Arizona University. And this is like for an average sized woman, it's like a 5.5, 5 5/8 bracelet size, which is kind of standard. Another way I always look at it, if you're a blouse size, that's around a medium. That's about where this bracelet would fit in that category. I do special order and commission work too. So if you wanted a specific bracelet size, I don't know if the gift shop has a template, but if you get a hold of me through the gift shop, I can email you a template for bracelet sizing. And that way, that works really well in getting sizes correct. Also, I can also send you through the mail a ring size gauge too, if you want to do that too, if you need that. So this is another shell form bracelet with lightning and rain. The symbols of the little dashes in the ring and the lightning symbol are basically rain droplets for how when you see in a thunderstorm, it's usually heavy winds, and you'll see the rain like flashing at angles, and that's kind of what this is symbolic to, is my rendition of interpreting that. And this again is probably a little bit wider. I think it's like a 7/8 inch wide bracelet, very comfortable size. It has a concave look. If you can look up on the upper left side, you'll see this area here is concave. So this is a very unique design format that has been really a positive for me, because it's so comfortable to wear. These pieces, I've sold many of these type of bracelets over the years. Due to the fact that they're so comfortable to wear. People don't notice they even have them on, that kind of a thing. Again, you can call the museum shop. This is one of the pieces that they have for sale. And as well, you'll see here, I texture the edges, or I bevel the edges to give it that other dimension. And that same texture is on the underside of the bracelet too. And this is just a tool texture. I was always by mentorship from my professors at college, was always saying nothing should be left alone in the piece when you get it done. Texturing adds another dimension, another quality to the work you can do. So I texture, or if it's high polish, you know, that this is high polish, of course. And so it just adds that dimension to make this polish stand out more. That's why I put that texture. Okay, next slide. This is a real good example. This is a wide cuff. This is a 1.5. This is a statement cuff. Rain blessing. Rain blessing is the, you know, of course, that's my trademark. And you know, this bracelet just looks so outstanding just by itself. And this leads a lot of. I've sold many of these rain textured designs because it's just it's like my it's me. It's my trademark. It's one of those things like, you know, anything that has a brand to it. This is my brand. This is, I always carry these, and because of the fact that people love them. And this particular one is a 1.5 inch wide cuff. I make them up to 2 to 3 inches wide, just depending on what the customer wants. And it's very substantial in silver gauge, which is the thickness of it. So it's not flimsy. It's very rigid. And sizing on this one, I think, is a 5 5/8, which is a medium again. And it's just, the only thing is it's a real statement piece being wide. And it's about, the minimum of this one is a 1.5. It could be a 1 3/4 because I don't have the measurements because I'm not there at the gift shop. But this is in the exhibit. In the for sale case we have in the exhibit. And the Ameren gift shop can answer questions about this. Again, if you need a sizing template, Ameren can get a hold of me with, and I can forward that to them. If they don't have it, I think I left it there, but Tammy would know. It's not a big deal to send her that template and then get that to you to make sure the sizing will fit. Or if it's sold or you need a size other than a medium, you know, there's petite sizes, there's another extra large size and a double extra large. The double extra large is mainly for like a man, a bigger man, which would be like a size 7 wrist. And that's what I wear. I think a 6 3/4, 7 is what I wear because I wear an extra large, so to speak, t-shirt. And that's the sizing that I'm kind of gauging, making reference to. Okay, next slide. This is a little shell form ring. A lot of times people want a little ring to complement their bracelet, and that's what this is about. This one's in a particular size 8, but this again can be special ordered, or this can be actually resized. They'll have to send it to me and I'll resize it. We'll take about 2 weeks to get to you once when somebody purchases this. But it's basically to complement the bracelets that I do. It's a very comfortable ring, again, because of the concaveness of this piece. So basically this, if you look in the center line here, that's all the middle that's going to be touching your skin underneath here, this center part here. And that's what makes it very comfortable. And it has a small enough back where the inside of your palm, where that crease is, where rings lay. I like to make those. Function is very important in my work. If you can't wear it, then what's the use of making it and making people buying it? Because what's going to happen is I'll get it back and saying, I can't wear this. The back of the ring is too big. It's uncomfortable. So in particular, over all these years of doing jewelry design, that's one of my biggest accolades is function is very important to, you know, making sure the edges are nice and soft so that they don't scratch anybody, their skin. Some people, of course, we all know this, that some people have very sensitive skin. And so that's another reason. Okay, so to take care of those kind of problems. Okay, next slide. This is a shell form ring. Base, again, this is another different type of, more contemporary. One of the influences on my work, I forgot to mention this influence I had in my Museum in Northern Arizona residency was we had a volunteer, a docent. And I didn't know that my best friend's mother, this was her. my best friend's mother was Danish from Denmark, and she had married an American Air Force officer back, I guess, after World War II, or probably around the Korean War time. And he was stationed there in Denmark. So they got married, they had children, and then unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but he died. He passed away. I don't know, through war or what, but he had brought their family to the Arizona in the 60s, and Mrs. Brigitte Ehrman was her name. She had told me that if she could have her way in life, that Northern Arizona would be where she would settle for the rest of her life, the rest of her days. And unfortunately, she lost her husband, and she wanted her children to be American because she had that possibility because her kids were American by naturalization through marriage. And so she wanted to move her kids to Northern Arizona, and Flagstaff, she loved it. So that's how I met Niels, and Niels Ehrman was my best buddy in college. And we met at Northern Arizona University, and he was always telling me about his mother's collection of jewelry from Europe, from Scandinavia. She collected really awesome handcrafted metalsmithing, goldsmith work from the guild shops in Germany to Italy, France, Germany, of course, Scandinavia. He had a lot of work. In her collection of jewelry items, she had over 200 and some pieces. A lot of George Jensen jewelry when he still did his own work from the 40s and the 50s, 60s. And her influence was amazing. She was my first mentor, actually another great mentor in design. And she worked as a docent at the Museum in Northern Arizona. So she was always at the museum when I was a resident artist there. And so I would constantly be thinking of her as successful design because I'd take all these new pieces I was developing, take them to her. That's because she would sit at the front desk in the museum, and she would either give me a thumbs up or say, no, you need to work on this a little more. So that was the influence of that. This is a bangle bracelet with ring texture. This is a small size, like for a very petite woman. But these can be also, the width on this is like 3/8 inch wide or less, and substantial gauge silver again. And I don't know the prices. It's been a while. I'm sorry about that, but you can call the gift shop on this because they have all this particular for you to look at. Some of this is on the website too of amarin.org/shop. And so you can get probably better information. And so next slide. We might be coming to the end here, but this is of course, this is a positive overlay. And these motifs, this is a quail. We have quail throughout the Southwest. Was a staple of basically a food that hunting or netting quail, because they run in flocks like chickens in the Southwest deserts, high deserts. We have quail all over New Mexico and Arizona and the high desert and the southern deserts. So this is just a great symbol that I've developed this design in 1974, 75, somewhere in there. And it still works. This is a pendant, and it hangs on a chain, which it's probably no more than a little over maybe 2 inches in length. And you can call again and shop for this pricing on this. Okay, next slide. This is a chain that we do. And basically, it's a kind of a generic, we call it a Hopi chain because that's something that's just so simple that Hopi craftsmen do. And this is a 20-inch length, and it's a good width so that it's wearable on small pieces as well as large pieces. But these can be special ordered because I sell a lot of these chains and in different thickness gauges. And this is probably the most prominent one we sell, and it complements a lot of my pieces. Okay. This is a hollow form ring, fabricated ring with inlay of Rosarita, opal in the middle, and with gold spacers. And this is in a size 7 and with 14 karat gold spacers, and it's sterling silver. And this is a very comfortable ring. The maximum width on this piece is about, again, it's not wide, it's about 3/8 of an inch wide, if I remember. And this is one of those everyday simple rings that people can wear. This, if you want a special order this, if you have a bigger, need a bigger ring size or a smaller ring size, please let us know. This might even be like towards a 7.5. So make sure you call the shop and they can evaluate the sizing of it. They'll put it on a ring mandrel and see if that works. This is, I think, the last image of the pieces we're showing. This is again, it's an overlay buckle. This is a unique design. Years ago, I was a board member of the Crow Canyon Archaeological Center in southern Colorado, up by Cortez, and they had a lot of good displays of basketry. And there was this one type of weave that really caught my eye, and it was called herringbone, the herringbone weave. And so this is the reflection, the impetus of allowing me to do something to represent that. So this is called herringbone design buckle, and this is for an 1.25 inch belt. And this is a very comfortable belt to wear. The width of this piece is, you can see the buckle keeper here. This is actually upside down. This would be flipped over. This buckle keeper would be on this side because that's when you're wearing it. That's how you would see it when you wear it. Amazingly, the women wear the buckles this way. They thread them from left to right. The men thread them from right to left through your belt loops on your jeans or whatever. And so I guess this is bisexual. Men or women can wear this. And so it's just, black jade. And this material in the middle here, this white, is called prystene. And this is a natural stone that's found up by the middle Arizona area. And it's actually got a mineral name called magnesium phosphate in silica. And it's a very hard stone, but it's pure white. And of course, Rosarita separated with gold spacers. And I put this border edge. Oh, I'm sorry, there's some more. Okay, good. This is a rain textured inlaid small bracelet. This is a size 5.5, and it has an opening on the back. It's a cuff bracelet, so it slips on and off. And with Rosarita, sometimes I have Rosarita that has oranges. This is more of a light orange red. If you were to look at it in real time light, and then opal in the middle. And I always put these facets on my work because it just adds another dimension and quality to my work. Again, with the rain texture. This is a 1/2 inch wide. So this is a petite size, not for a petite size woman, but it's more or less on the smaller realm of bracelet. The whole configuration is minimal. I do smaller ones where sometimes I do the inlay just on the width of this 1/2 inch. This is 1/2 inch across the width of this silver. So this is more on the more wearable everyday size. This is the same stone that complements that bracelet. But I call this, actually this is the beginning of my, how would you say, my trademark. This piece, way back, the design, the shape, is actually the shape of a shell. The mosaic shell work of our history, the prehistoric history of our people. They did a lot of trading with the Pacific Ocean people and the Gulf of California people. And this image here is with the Hopi chain that you saw earlier, and how that lays on here and how it complements that. So this is the rays are like, and then I also have this leather cording, which is really neat. It's this hand braided leather, fine calfskin leather braid cord this is for like a choker type thing. Oh, you can go to the next slide. And so I guess that's it. So I guess from here on out, it's Q&A questions. I don't know how we are in time. Oh, I'm sorry. This design is called Sun Symbol. And basically this came about because I wanted to honor the sun, which we see, the New Mexico flag. I don't know if people have ever seen it. It has these rays, and it's actually a sacred symbol to our people. And the Zia, they call it the Zia sun symbol. But I was about to do that type of thing here, and then I was looking at it before I would have normally cut this off, these corners. And I happened to just, when I was finishing this design, I decided instead of texturing this, I textured this, and I thought if I didn't like it, I can cut it off. And then now we see these this tic-tac-toe look to it. But it looks so outstanding, this design, and I've done these in many, many different colors. This is Imperial Jasper from Mexico, yellow gold Rosarita, opalized ironstone from Australia, Kingman turquoise. And this is another very unusual orange Rosarita that I have. The Rosaritas are not in abundant quantity, but I do collect them and how would you say, categorize them so that I can have unique stone colors to work with and complement other colors. And these are peppermint jasper and pipestone beads. And I have a gentleman that I get a lot of Arizona materials from. And this particular beads, I had somebody make these for me. I just love the colors. And this is a natural jasper. And these are Arizona materials. These come from the Camp Verde, Prescott area and kind of like upper central Arizona areas. And these are pristine. No, this is pristine of a different color. It also comes in a ivory looking color. And it's a substitute now for ivory because ivory is illegal to own or sell, especially mastodon ivory or ancient prehistoric ivory. That's what they're using in a lot of jewelry, if you can get it. Very expensive though. And this is another shell form ring, but with the rain texture design to complement the rain texture cuff bracelets. And this is in a size 8. Okay, you can go to the next, if we have any more. Oh, there's a picture of the leather choker. And this is a pressure clasp. So there's a seam right here, and then there's a stem that fits into this tubing. And it doesn't come off. Believe it or not, this angle right here, once it's threaded on and pushed into the tubing, it stays on. And it can hang a pendant from it, and it looks good by itself or with a pendant, a small turquoise pendant or whatever color you think complement. It's got saddle. It's a saddle color, which is kind of a beige, maybe a little darker than beige color. It's the natural color of leather. And it's just, all it's been done is coated with a sealant so that it won't change color or saturate oils from your skin. And it's 16 inches in length.
All right, Duane, thank you so much. That was fantastic. And we do have a few questions. Let's see. I have a question from Celeste who wanted to know, did you make your choker, and tell us about it?
The leather part, I wish I had time to do all my leather work, but I do the silver work, and the leather part I have somebody make for me because I mainly love doing my metal work, so I mainly use that as like with the beads. I have people, in the business, you start to meet people, and they always offer the fact that they can help you do stuff that you don't want to do, and so the leather work and some bead work I do, I basically contract out. It's not like big giant quantity of it. I have to, it's just when I need it, people do it for me. And same way with the bolo cords. I have 2 different people who make bolo cords, and it's just a whole nother sourcing of, if I was to get the materials and then have to do it myself, it just takes me a time away from my bench. But it's all hand done. It's all handcrafted work.
All right, another question. Are there any particular artists who have influenced your work?
Well, I try not to, as far as like artists, and I'm going to be generalizing here, but artists who have really influenced my work, of course, we have Native American artist, Alan Hauser, because of the gentleman he was, the integrity he held, the humbleness he was about. You know, he was an artist, prolific in the 70s, 60s, and the 70s. Actually, he became well known in the 40s. And but he was a professor, art teacher at Institute of American Indian Art in Santa Fe. And I was too. I was a teacher there in the 90s, early 90s. And Mr. Hauser, when I was very young, used to always give me great compliments as to what I was doing when he saw my work in shows. And of course, there's Charles Lolema, being from the same village my grandfather Maktima was from in Hopi, and he died very young. He was only, I think, 71 or 72 when he passed away. But the influence in jewelry was phenomenal. But there's one other really prolific historic jeweler that I looked up to so much because of how he conveyed Pueblo Hopi culture, was Prystene Manungia. And Prystene Manungia was an adopted Mission Indian, and he was adopted by a Hopi family, and they raised him out at Hopi. And so that was his, I guess, upbringing, the influence of his work. But these are people that are all gone historic. These are the people that made a difference. Charles Lolema and Prystene Manungia, and of course, there's some Navajo art jewelers from that time. Mr. Begay, who worked for the White Hogan in Scottsdale. His work is just phenomenal. A contemporary Navajo silversmith. He did gold too, but way before his time. And now his pieces are collected all over the world. Same with Charles Lolema and Prystene Manungia. And that's the accolade, I guess, if you're good. I'm seeing my work now sold from my works I did in the 70s are on second generation market. And it's just an honor. And okay, next question.
Okay, I think
we're running out of time.
Yeah, we have time for maybe two more. Marge was curious if you work with amber.
Yeah, I do. Nothing's impossible. The only reason I say with a reluctance is amber is a very, very soft stone. So, what you have to do when you set ambers is the work has to be pre-polished. And, ambers are not unique. I mean, they're unique in the way that the fact that it's ancient prehistoric resin that has been, how would you say, underground or in the ocean or whatever, where they find it. But it's just it's pine pitch that's been aged for, I guess I have set a lot of amber pieces, but it's just the scary thing is that if there's a scratch on the silver, when you have to go back and rebuff it, that buffing, the heat created by the buffing wheel can really devastate your amber pieces. So it's just another one of those processes. Yeah, but I do work in amber, but it's just some of the facts I'm just disclosing about working with it. It's a soft material. It's basically resin, which is plastic. And so any heat will distort it or ruin it. So the next question.
Okay, and so for our last question, that's from Janet, who says that she loves the overlay parrot pendant you made, which she bought at the Herd Market years ago. And do you still do that style of jewelry?
Oh, all these styles of jewelry. If you go to Google Duane Maktima, and you'll see hundreds of pieces that I've done. You'll see pieces that are older pieces from the 70s all the way to 2020. Because, technology, people, museums, collections, shows that I've done, it all goes on the internet now. And the parrot design, that's another one of those motifs, because I'm Parrot Clan. That's very special to me. That's my clan affiliation from my mother's side. My family at Laguna Pueblo are all the Parrot Clan people, and that extends through Zuni, Acoma, Pueblo, Hopi. We have Parrot Clan in those particular other villages, and so those are all my clan family as well. That's one of the unique things. That's why I honor that symbol. Also, it's also a logo or an iconic figure for the Ameren because of the studies at one of the archaeological sites in northern Mexico. I can't remember the name, but you guys know it. Pakime, and being a parrot aviary, and parrot feathers and the parrot burrs archaeologically have been found. Aviaries have been found in major places like Chaco Canyon. Just pretty phenomenal. It's an extension of the people. That's another thread of history that we evolved probably from the Mayan people, or part of the Mayan subcultures that moved out of that area back. They always wonder where the Mayan Empire went after, they find areas like in central Mexico along the Gulf Coast that they wondered where those people went. And believe it or not, I think we're part of that group because of a lot of stories that we have, ancient stories about where we come from. A lot of it pertains to that particular type of environment. Okay, I guess I don't know if there's any more we can fit in, but it's been awesome to be with you.
Well, Duane,
okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your fantastic work with our audience today. And as a reminder to our guests, those items that were for sale are showcased on our Ameren Museum website. You can visit us at www.ameren.org/store. Once you are there, you can filter the page by selecting Studio Showcase to view Duane's items. And of course, you are welcome to call Ameren today and speak to our store manager, Tammy, who will be happy to assist you with your purchase. Our number at Ameren is 520-586-3666. Well, Duane, thank you so much. I absolutely enjoyed the program today. Such talent, such beautiful work. And thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Oh, it's an honor. And I thank all of you who came in and attended this webinar. The privilege of being able to do this on behalf of the Ameren is just my pleasure. Thank you very much. And have a great day, and blessings to all.
Thank you, Duane. And thank you, everyone. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.